This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning, guys. Any questions, guys, before we get started? Anyone, any questions? Anything that you all tried over the weekend? Any doubts there? Any questions there? Anyone, anything? Any questions, guys? Anyone, any questions here? Again, just to give a recap of what we are doing again. This is what we did in the yesterday's session. I'm sorry, in the yesterday's week. Sorry, in last week, we said we need an Azure tenant. We have to go ahead and create something called as an Azure tenant, and under an Azure tenant, is where we started creating a subscription, and then we started assigning role assignments to the users called RPACs, role based access controls, to the users so that they can go ahead and start using our Azure portal. Again, three different broad roles that we're talking about: owner, contributor, and a reader. So what is the difference between owner and a contributor? Contributor
As a
will be
owner,
access,
we can add and
add and modify users. As a contributor, I cannot do
Owner
that.
has until
yes.
Yes, as a contributor, I can do everything an owner can do, apart from user management. I cannot go ahead and add, remove users. I cannot do that. Apart from that, I will have all the roles that an owner can have, and all the roles, all the assignments that an owner can have out here. Yes, and also we were talking about what is a resource group. We had something called as a resource group under a subscription, like a folder, exactly. So under one tenant, I can have multiple subscriptions. Under one subscription, I can have multiple resource groups. Under one resource group, I can have multiple storage accounts. And under a storage account, I went ahead and I created something known as a container, and then added the data or injected the data inside the container. Now, yes, blobs, that's right, it's a blob that I added here. Now, what are the different access levels that are there in a container, or what do I mean by the access level in a container? Anyone, if you can recollect? Yes.
Public
Sorry.
container, private container
Private
access,
container and blob
container
access.
blob access,
Blob. So three things: a private, a container, and a blob.
blob
Three access
access.
levels is what I had. So here's the question: is that if I want to access a blob using the blob URL, if the container is in private, can I go ahead and access it over the internet directly? Yes, no, maybe
no.
no,
Yes.
because the
It's,
blob
it's
has
private.
a
It's
private
no.
access. It's a private. If it's no. If I change the access level to a container or a blob, I can go ahead and access it out. But if I want to access it privately, I'll need to generate what? SAS, shared access signature. And in a SAS, I can go ahead and control how the user, or what kind of a permission the user has, to what the user has a permission on all these things. So let us go ahead, create a storage account firstly. So let's say resource group. I'll go ahead, create a resource group called storage RG. Let's say storage RG, and let's say review and create this out. So I'm not using any tags, nothing, optional in nature. I'm saying review and create this out. And once I have a resource group, I'll go inside the resource group, create a storage account. I will say, okay, fine, let's look for a storage account, say create this out. Or you can also type in storage account and have it created. Any which ways, this is fine. Here, I'll just select the resource group that I created, storage RG. Again, the name, 3 to 24 characters, unique in nature. No special characters that are allowed out here. So again, say it is dev irctc 001 or 002, something like this. 000, something like this out here. Saying already exists, just existing. Let's go ahead, this out, take this out. 002 is already taken. Let's see. 003. Fine. So it's now basically caching my browser and a couple of things out there. Region East US, performance standard premium. I'm going for standard replication model. I can choose multiple replication models out here: LRS, GRS, ZRS, GZRS, and etc. Question here is that if it is LRS, my the point here that I want to make is that now it's a question for you. Is that I am now creating my storage account in an LRS. So I'm now telling that I get 3 copies in my primary data center, 3 copies in my secondary data center. Is that right? No, it's only one
No.
data center. It's only primary. So if the primary data center is not available, your data will not be available as such. It's a locally redundant storage. Now, the scenario what the interviewer is giving you is that I need the data to be in different data centers synchronously replicated. ZRS or is it GRS? GRS?
GRS,
Is it GRS or is it
GRS,
ZRS?
GRS.
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 But does GRS do a synchronous replication or is it an asynchronous replication in GRS? GRS is an asynchronous replication. ZRS is a synchronous replication. You are right, it is ZRS. Meaning the question here is that I need multiple copies of my data across different data centers. I'm not telling different regions, I'm telling different data centers. But I need the copy to be synchronous in nature. That's where ZRS comes into picture, wherein you can have 3 different copies spread across 3 different data centers. First condition is getting satisfied. Second condition is telling ZRS happens what? Synchronously. But GRS doesn't happen synchronously. It's an asynchronous replication, exactly. So let's see this. Let's say this is data synchronous across this one. It's just asynchronous replication is what GRS offers you. So it is an asynchronous replication in GRS across the secondary region. That's the reason. Let's just look at this. It's a single physical region and copied synchronously 3 times and etc. But across the secondary region, the copy is happening asynchronous out here. I'm not able to find the documentation where it's telling you that, but it's an asynchronous replication in the secondary region. So if the client is telling that, you know what, or if the interviewer is telling, you know what, I need multiple copies across different data centers and I want it synchronously, ZR is the only option out here. Again, question here is that I am going ahead creating the Azure data center, or I'm going ahead and trying to create the storage account in South India region, but I am not able to see a ZRS option. Is this an issue? Why is this an issue? Then, I mean, what exactly is this? Why is this happening? Not all regions will support ZRS. Not all regions will support zone redundancy. That's what it is. So only the recommended regions from this particular list will support zone redundancy out here. That's the reason I'll just take a list from this one so that I can enjoy all these things out here. And I'll select local redundant storage. I can change it at a later point in time. Let's come here into advanced. Again, hot or cool, depending upon the frequency of your data. You can either select it as hot or either select it as cool. Let's say networking. For now, let's park this out. Networking, let's put this out separately. Again, soft delete. Now, do you see it has soft delete for blobs? Meaning, if your blob is deleted, you can, let's say, restore it for 7 days, 7 to 365. Enable soft delete for containers. Meaning, I'm telling, if I don't have this option, if I delete the individual blobs, I can go and restore them. But if I delete the entire container, you cannot. Even though if you have a soft delete at a blob enabled, if you delete the entire container, you cannot recover it. For which you need an enable soft delete for the containers. Then you have something called file shares, which we'll look at, a concept which we'll look at a later point. So I'll just disable this out right now. Encryption, I'll say fine, this is the option that is available. Whatever option is available, I'm just going with this. Tags, optional in nature. You can tag your resources. I'll say review and create this out. So now I'm reviewing and creating this out. Validation is passed. I'll say create. So I'm now creating a storage account in LRS in a region called East US2 in a hot access tier. And let's say I am going ahead with a soft delete of 7 days for both blobs and containers. So in case you also delete your container accidentally, you can also go ahead and restore the entire container, meaning all the blobs inside the container will also get recovered. That's what I'm doing right now. So did anyone try to change LRS to GRS, GRS to ZRS? Did anyone do that? Do you all know where to do that in a storage account? changing the tier? Yes, no, maybe. No, let's see that. Let's also see that where do you change it, what do you do that. So first let's go ahead, and I want to change the replication tier to GRS. I'm in LRS right now. I'll change the replication tier to GRS. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's see where do you do that. Let's go ahead, come here, and let's go into, let's say, something called configuration, settings configuration. Inside this you have a couple of options, and go scroll down. You can change it from hot to cool, cool to hot. Replication, you have what? LRS, GRS, RA, GRS. You don't have a ZRS. ZRS can only be created at the time of storage account creation. You cannot change it to ZRS after you create it. Getting this? You do not have an option to change it to ZRS after you create it, but you can change it to GRS or RA GRS out here. Say save. As and when you save this out, let's see how this kind of gets changed. Now it's telling I mean, let's say I'm doing GRS right now, so I'm changing the tier to GRS. So it says successfully updated. Settings may take up to 30 seconds to come into effect. I'll come here into overview. Now do I see primary and the secondary region? Primary is what I selected, secondary is what Azure is now giving. Both regions are now online. Primary available, secondary is also available out here. Again, if I want to change it back to LRS, same thing. Going into configuration, again come here and say LRS. Save this out. So I can do the other way around. I can go from, let's say, LRS to GRS. You can come from GRS to LRS also. Any questions still here, guys? Anyone? Any questions still here?
Oh, yes.
So then let's go ahead, please.
ZRS is dependent on the region we select initially, right?
Correct.
So if the ZR is available, for example, if you're taking a location of East US 2, if that
Okay.
location has already a ZRS, but initially I
Hmm.
have selected LRS, but
Okay.
later I can be able to change to ZRS, right?
You cannot using the portal. Programmatically you can. Using a PowerShell ARM you can, but on the
Hmm.
portal you cannot. There's a
Okay.
restriction on the portal. You cannot go ahead and change it on the portal.
Okay.
Yes, any more questions, guys? So let's go into the containers. Let's say create a container, and let's go ahead create a container called test container right now. Container -1 private no anonymous access. I'll say create this out, and once I create this out, let's go ahead upload some files here or upload some blobs here. Again the same blobs. Let's go ahead and let's say get the blobs out here. Let's say some blobs. Let's go ahead and let's say upload all these blobs at one go. Uploaded. Now here's the point that I want to ask you is that if you want to share this blob data to one of your developers in your organization, what do you do? Change the access tier. But I don't want to change the access. The access should be in private only. SAS. So I go generate a SAS. But the issue here is that SAS is good. It is working for, let's say, individual blob data. I cannot reuse the SAS for, let's say, if I generate a SAS for sample 1, I cannot use that SAS for sample 2. You cannot do that. Its SAS is for individual blobs out here. Now the challenge is that there are literally thousands and thousands of files here or blobs here, and the developer wants an access to all these things out. Container, okay, so I go into the access management and I add the user here and give him a reader or something like that. But here the catch is that my client doesn't want the user to be added. The only thing the user should do is just to go inside the blob and just to get the data inside the blob. So I am avoiding unnecessary users here. Container level SAS, yes, container level SAS. So there is a SAS token that you can generate at a container. Yes, key one, and you can say what are all the permissions that you need. For example, let's say he wants to manage it. So I'll say add, create, find, not a problem, write, delete, list. I'm giving all these things out. I'm giving a time period for which this is. I can give the IP optionally, and I can say generate the SAS token or the URL. Have the SAS token or the URL. I can go ahead give it to him. Now the point is, can he access this SAS from the browser? No, because you are not accessing a blob. You are accessing the entire container. If you're accessing the entire container, this access is not allowed over the internet. Meaning, if I go ahead paste this over the internet and I'll say enter, XML not appear to be properly formatted, meaning it's telling you know what you cannot, even if you have a SAS, you cannot still use that particular SAS token to go ahead and use it over the internet. Then what's the other option? Storage Explorer. That's what we were talking about. Is that a data management tool called Storage Explorer? All the developer has to go ahead is just a Storage Explorer. Download this out, install this out. It's a very simple tool. Again, download. I'm not able to do a demo here. Reason being, I already have the Storage Explorer in my laptop. But it's a very simple installation. Just need to go ahead, download this, double click it, install this out, and open this out. Let's say Storage Explorer. I have a Storage Explorer. I'll say open. It's nothing but a piece of software that gets installed on your machine. So open this out and it's telling, let me know what you think. I won't tell you. Now I want to connect to a container of a storage account. Firstly, let's do one thing. Let's remove this out. By default, it'll ask me to log in. I'll just remove this out. And by default, I have a couple of storage accounts already connected to me. So just in case, I mean, I'll just remove this out. I'll just detach all these things out. I'll show you how to attach this out. But in order to avoid the confusion, I'll just go ahead and remove all the storage accounts out so that I can start clean and I can do a lot of things out here. So this is the challenge. Let's take this out. Now I want to connect to a container of a storage account, not the entire storage account. I have a SAS token for a container of the storage account, not the entire thing. So what I'll do, there's a plug option here which says connect. It's a connection dialog. Let's go click here. It's telling select a resource. Do you want to connect to an Azure subscription? Do we want to do that? Do you want to connect to the entire subscription? No. Do you want to connect to a storage account? No. We want to connect to a blob container. Blob container. It's telling how do you want to connect? Do you want to sign in? Even if I sign in, I cannot connect to it because I do not have the login credentials. It's telling shared access signature SAS. I'll say yes, I have a SAS. This is something that I have. Now it's asking what is a blob container SAS URL. Let's go here, get the SAS URL. Already copied this out. Is it here? It's now telling it's a SAS, let's say URL out here. Now this SAS has what all permissions? Read, write, delete, all these things out. Let's say you want the user to only have a read access. I won't share this token to him. I'll change this to something like read. Only read. I'll just say go ahead and generate this out. I'll give this token to the user. Do you know what error this is now giving me right now? A list permission is required. Meaning even if you want to read, you have to list all the blobs. You'll have to see, right? You'll have to see all the blobs that are there in the container, meaning you also need to have a list permission. So read and list are complementary to each other. You just cannot have a list, you just cannot have a read. You should have a list plus a read. That's where the permissions come into picture. Is that if you want to give someone a read access only, he should come here, give a list also, two permissions minimum. Select this out, come here, take this, read and the list. Now it's telling this is the test container. I'll say next. I'll say connect. Now it's saying successfully added a new connection. And let's refresh this out. Good, please. Mhm. No, you'll have to give a read, write, and all these things. You'll have to mention specifically that you need a write, you need a read, because without reading it, you cannot write it. It's all interdependent permissions out there. So now I have the read access on all these blobs, which means I can also go ahead and download this out, but I cannot delete it out. Let's say I get smarter and try to delete this out. Says it's soft delete is enabled for the blob permanent deleting. Fine, not a problem. I say yes. And now let's see. Fail to start delete. Insufficient credentials. It's telling you know what, there's an insufficient credential out here. You cannot delete it out. It's telling you know what, you cannot delete this out. You do not have a proper credential out here. This is what you can have a control with the SAS token out here. Now here's the point is that I gave a SAS token to one of the developers. The very next day the developer left the organization. This is an issue because the SAS token that I generated, I did not mention what is the IP of the developer. Meaning this developer can go anywhere, any part of the world, download all this data. Now the point is that I don't even want the developer to download this data because it's a sensitive data. It's a customer centric data that I have. Downloading the data is itself destructive. The thing is that I want him to lose the access. Then what should I do? Time, but I have to wait till 8 hours or no whatever time that I generated. Let's say I generated the SAS token for 30 days. I cannot even go ahead and reduce the time right now. Done. I'm like done. I'm like blocked right now. So what else that I can do right now? IP, but again, it's already done. Have already published this one. So there is not even the IP option for me right now. Sorry, didn't get you. Can you come again? If even if I generate a new one, the still old one is still active. It's still active. He's still using the old one is connecting to my storage account. Sorry, no, detach is his option. He has to go ahead and detach it. So let's come back for this particular scenario. Let's come down to the storage account. There is something called as access keys. We'll talk about what access keys are. And in this, you have something called a rotate key. If I rotate a key, I am changing the entire access keys of my storage account. The permissions of all my storage account is something that I'm changing. I have key 1, key 2. I'll just rotate this out. So I'm rotating something called, or I'm regenerating the entire key. I'm regenerating the entire keys of my storage account right now. So let's go here and let's try to refresh this out right now. Let's see storage account. Let's see emulator. No, not emulator. Let's see why this is coming right now in place. Let's firstly detach this out. Okay, not sure why this came in, but fine. So you have a storage account. Yeah, you have a storage account, and let's try to let's say go ahead and delete this out, or let's try to even read this out. Let's refresh this out. No data available, and you also get an error message here. Server failed to authenticate the request. Make sure your authorization header is formatly corrected, meaning that key that you're using is lost. I cannot help you. The second you regenerate your keys, all the users who are going to have access will lose the access. As simple as that it is. So in a last resort, as a last resort, we go ahead and let's say rotate the keys out there. That is what we do. You correct. A set of developers rotates the key. All the developers will lose the access. Reason being, we don't give the developers like this. Reason being, we don't allow the developers to come here, or reason being, we don't rotate the keys very frequently. We don't do a key rotation very frequently. That's where virtual networking as a concept comes into picture. We'll talk about that, as in how can your virtual network help you protect your data and all these things. We'll talk about it when we go into networking section, but this is an option that is available for now to go ahead and invalidate a key. This is what I did. I'm invalidating a key. I'm stopping a user to go ahead and connect to my storage account. So give me 1 second. There is a free trial account that is, let me remove this out. Yes, you don't specially, yes, you'll have a set of developers to whom you share these keys and all these things out. Yes, all the 10 are going to be affected. Yes, they're going to be affected. There will definitely be a downtime. Again, The reason I'm now pointing out here is that let's come down, let's say have an understanding about the access keys, and let's understand what this is. So I have created, let's say I have one container, I'm generating SAS token for one container. What if I have 10 different containers, multiple data? Guys, can you please stop talking? Thank you. So you have multiple containers right now. Now I'm telling a case of multiple containers. Let's say test container 2. Let's say create this out. Then you have test container 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. You have multiple containers. I want the developer to have access on all the containers in my storage account. Then what do I do right now? Should I go ahead into each and every individual containers and then create a shared access signature? It'll become a very tedious procedure for storage account. You have something called as a shared access signature at a storage account level also. So shared access signature is available for a blob, for a container, for let's say the entire storage account. So if you give someone a shared access signature at a blob level, only that particular container can be accessed. If you give someone a shared access signature at a container level, all the blobs inside that particular container can be accessed. If I give someone a shared access signature at the storage account level, all the containers inside that particular storage account will be accessed. So I can go ahead, I can say shared access signature, and again it's asking me which service. I'll just keep it the way it is. I'll say read write, yes, this is allowed. Let's go ahead and let's see this one, service container, yes. Say add service and containers, that's fine. I'll go ahead and do an object also, not a problem. I'll say generate a shared access signature, and now I'm generating a shared access signature URL at a storage account level right now. So now if I come down to my storage explorer and I click on this, the option that I need to go for is not a blob container, it's a storage account or a service. I'll say it's a connection string key or a SAS token, or it's telling shared access signature URL, anything is fine. I'll say shared access signature URL. I'll say next, I'll place this URL out here. Got a shared access signature URL. It's now telling the name of the storage account. I'll say next. I'll say connect to it. Again, it's telling blob containers. I'll go into the blob containers right now. And it's telling me test container 1, test container 2, so on and so forth. How many ever containers that I have. It is now listing all those containers down here. This is shared access signature generated at a storage account level. And even here you can control what a user can do. Read, write, delete, only read, then read and list. These are the permissions that you can assign to that particular user out here. Now, let's say that I have an administrator in my organization. Let's say my client. He wants to, let's say, go ahead and have a full control over the storage account. Then what should I do? If I want to give him a full control without having him logged into, let's say, the Azure portal, because he's not interested to log into the Azure portal. All he wants to do is data management. You can either go ahead, create a SAS token. But what he's telling is that, you know what, you're giving me a SAS token, great. But whatever SAS token that you're giving me, the next day when I come, is getting expired because you have a time period for that particular SAS token. I don't need a time period. I need unlimited, let's say access onto, let's say, a storage account. In such a case where you want unlimited access over the storage account without, let's say, mentioning the time and all these things, if if you're not worried about it, that's where don't go for SAS, go for access keys. Access key is like giving unlimited control to someone over your storage account. Wherein, if I say show keys, I have keys out here, and I'll have a key and I have something called as a connection string. What is the difference between this is very simple. If I say a key, if I take a key, I can go to the storage. I'll say connect to it again. I'll say storage account. I'll say account name and key. I'll give the account name and key here, and I'll say next. And I'll have to give the account name. I'll have to mention the account name out here. So I'll come back, take the account name, mention this display name. I'll say storage account. I'll say access key or key. I'll say next. I can connect to this. So right now I'm using a storage account with key, inside which the display name is this storage account, and a key display name is this, inside which I'm able to see the same thing. If you don't want someone to go ahead and take that additional effort of giving the account name and all these things out, then please go ahead and give something called as a connection string. Both do the same thing. But if I use a connection string, I can go ahead, I can say connect. Instead of saying account name and key, I can say connection string, key or SAS. I'll say next. I'll place the connection string here. The display name will automatically come up. So you don't have to go ahead, give a display name and all these things out here. Because if you look at the connection string here, the account name is embedded here. So you don't have to go ahead and give the account name. So one simple, let's say, step reduced from an administrative perspective. Let's say next. But both the key and these, let's say, your account key and this connection string, they solve the same purpose. You can go inside. You can do anything you want with this particular storage account. You can delete it. You can also upload blobs here. So you can go ahead into the container. You can go ahead upload things out from here. Upload folder and upload files. Why do we use? Just go ahead, please. Mm-hmm. Store, yes, display name will rename it with one because it has to have unique display names. Yes, it has taken. You can have any other display name out here, not a problem. Storage account 1 2 3. Yes, this is correct. Correct, connected to string. It took a display name called something and hyphen one. If you again connect to it, it'll say hyphen 2 hyphen 3, so on and so forth. So multiple connections to the same storage account. So the main advantage that you actually get with a storage explorer out here is that using the Azure portal, you can only upload individual blobs, multiple blobs out here. Let's say you have multiple folders. What you have to do is like you have to go create each and every folder and then upload blobs inside it. Folder upload is not directly supported on the Azure portal, but folder upload is supported using, let's say, the Storage Explorer. And Storage Explorer uploads, let's say, your files, folders, and all these things out at a very faster rate when compared to the Azure portal. Storage Explorer in the backend works on a technology called AZ copy. There is a script, so it will go ahead and allocate much more bandwidth. So your copy, your, let's say, retrieval rate is very fast. So that's the reason we go ahead and use something like Storage Explorer out here for a better data management, better migrations of data from on-premise, like your local laptops, to, let's say, your storage accounts and all these things. Any questions till here, guys? Okay, good, please. Hmm. No, it's based on the role. Everyone will not have access to rotate keys. It's based on the role. If you want someone to have only key access, you have something called storage account key manager or something like that. There's a role for it. Yes, contributor can rotate a key. Contributor can still go ahead. Owner contributor can still go ahead and rotate the key. Reason being, we don't assign everyone a contributor access. We do custom roles. That what specific role you need, I'll only give you that particular role. So role management is specific. And also using the Storage Explorer, I can also go ahead create new containers. I don't have to go into the portal. I can just say open new container. Let's see. Where is this? Yeah, create a blob container. The first option, I can go ahead and say this is a test container 3. It'll now go ahead create a new blob container for me. And if I go into the portal, that container will get reflected on the portal also. So I can have good control over, let's say my containers. You can also delete the container. You can also say, you know what, I want to delete this container. So you can come here or delete this container also. So management of your blobs, management of your storage account is easier when you come through a storage explorer out here, meaning one single pane to go ahead and manage multiple storage accounts at a go. You can also go ahead, create a SAS token from here, generate SA signature. You can also go ahead generate an SA signature because I have an access key here. Access key is like unlimited privilege on your storage account. Undo the deletion, you will have to go to the portal and then undo it. From here you cannot really undo it. Let's see if I have the option. I never really tried it. Let's see, open container by name, configure soft delete policy. You can configure the policy here, meaning you can say what is the policy of soft delete and all these things out. You can change the policy, the timeline, but you cannot retrieve a deleted container. You'll have to go into the portal for that. let's say refresh this out, and I have a container deleted, I'll say show deleted containers. I can go ahead and retrieve the container that is deleted. So you can go ahead and undo this out. So you'll have to use the portal to undelete it. I mean, it would have been great if I had an option to go ahead and undelete things from here, paste containers and etc. Refresh such from here. No, I cannot do that. It's a limited option. That's I think a limitation of, let's say, the storage explorer out here. Yes. Any more questions here, guys? And one of the most important interview question what they ask you all is that what is the primary difference between a SAS token and an access key? Like if you have a SAS, what you can do, or if you have an access, what you can do. And interviewer might trick you telling that, you know what, I have an access key, but I now want to limit the permission on the access key. Simply say no, you cannot limit the permission on the access key. If you give an access key to someone, they'll have unlimited privileges over your storage account. If you want to limit it, please go for SAS. Or if you want to go ahead and, let's say, further limit it, you can go ahead with identity and access management, add a user with a specific role. You can do that. So these are the different authentication techniques that is available for someone to get inside your storage account. IAM, the first one, you can go ahead and add a role. Second one, shared access signature. Third one, access keys. Shared access signature can be generated at a blob level, at a container level, at a storage account level also. Access keys are only at a storage account level. Meaning if you give an access key, they'll have control over everything in your storage account. Yes, any questions that I can take your ways? Anyone, any questions till here? Hmm. Yes, might not be able to go to the portal and do it. Yes. Request someone to undelete it from the portal. Yes. A reason being, we don't give everyone an access key. We don't really give everyone the access key, a control or complete control over my entire storage account. That's something that we will avoid it. Access keys are, let's say, for very, very, let's say, limited kind of use case scenarios out here. There's one more thing that I want to cover in the access key is that if I go to the access key out here, I have a rotate key option, and here I have a key 1, I have a key 2. Why do I have two different keys out here for the same storage account? Anyone? Why do I have different keys out here for the same storage account here? Give it
I
to
think
different
for more
users.
security.
Okay. Key 1, key 2. You have key 2. Simple. I have a bike. I lose my first key. I have still my second key to open my bike out here. Reason being primary and secondary. So thing here is that if I were to rotate the keys, because one developer has left the organization, again coming back to my earlier question is that I have 10 developers in my organization, one left, but because of that one should 9 suffer? No. I'll give those 9 the key 2. I'll rotate the key 1. The developer 1 may be using the key 1. I'll rotate that, and I'll now tell the developers that, you know what, the key 1 is being rotated, please don't use it. Key 2, please use the key 2 until I restore it back. I'll rotate the key 1. The developers will still be uninterrupted because they're using key 2 internal my organization. And once the key 1 is rotated, I'll give the new key 1 to them. Now rotate the key 2. Because the developer who's left the organization, I don't know what key is using, key 1 or key 2. That's the reason I'll now rotate my keys. That's called key rotation out here. Key rotation, actually, the purpose of a key rotation is actually not that. Yes, you can use that particular logic to go ahead, give your developers a key and all these things. But most importantly, what's happening here is that, let's say, from a real time perspective, why do you need multiple keys? Is because this is the reason that you have multiple keys out here. You have on one side, you have your all developers and all who are going ahead using keys and etc, and they are working with storage explorer to go ahead and, let's say, grab the data from your storage account. Good enough, not a problem. So I have at one side of, let's say, my organization, I have all my developers. The other side of it, which is very very important, is that I have a live application. Let's say this is a application called ICICI, the mobile app that you see, icici.com properly. you have an actual user, an end user who's your customer who's using this particular application. And whenever this customer is requesting for some banking transactions, this application is going to a backend storage account, getting the blob, you're getting the blob, sending it back to the customer. Even this application needs to authenticate the storage account, because if it has to get the blob, this application also needs to have some kind of an authentication, right? For which in the code of this application, I'll embed the storage account key. So what will happen is that you have a developer. The developer will write some code. That code will have to connect to your backend storage account out here programmatically. In that code, I will give that developer a key telling that, you know what, you can use this key for this particular application. So the thing here is that if I rotate the key of a storage account, the users are going to lose it. Fine, not a problem. My developers are going to lose it. I can still live with this. But the application will also lose the access to your storage account. If the application loses the access, you as a customer who's trying to use this ICICI application, if you try to download, you'll get an error telling that, you know what, you're not authenticated. Meaning ICICI is losing business because of, let's say, a backend administrative activity. Because of which, what I'll do, I'll firstly go into the code of this ICICI application. I'll give a new key there, meaning a secondary key there, rotate my primary, change the key again, and then rotate it out so that my application doesn't have a downtime. This is application downtime, what I want to avoid. So this is the actual use case scenario of both the keys. Or my organization can have a policy that if you are a developer, I'll only give you key 2. I won't give you key 1. Key 1 is only for the application right now. So that just in case some developer leaves, I'll just go and rotate the key 2, not the key 1. Application is uninterrupted. The end goal of any organization is to have a zero downtime. That is what normally happens in the organization out there, and this is how applications really work. We'll talk about that when we look into an actual application, that how do you give the key to the application, how does the code work, and all these things. Just giving you an overview how the code really works out here. Yes, any questions here, guys? Anyone, any questions here? Okay, so now I have a question for you all. Is that in which access tier did I create the storage account? Is it cool? Is it hot? In which access tier did I create my storage account in? Cool or hot? Hot. If I am telling it is hot, what I'm telling right now, I am telling that the data is being frequently accessed. So the cost that you incur for a transaction, read or write, is less. Cost per storage is high. ICICI, now my client is coming back to me and telling that, hey, you know what? I am able to see that after 30 days, users are not really interested to, let's say, use that data. So it should not be in hot. It should be in cool. Meaning I have now blobs here. Let me go into the blob. And whenever I upload a blob, in which access tier it's going in? Hot, because the storage account isn't hot. It's telling inferred, meaning inherited from the storage account. So whatever data I upload, every data is sitting in something called as hot right now. This is the challenge. My company is telling me that, you know what? When a blob reaches a 30-day period, meaning I uploaded the blob today, which is on 25th of April, on 25th of May, the blob is not being frequently accessed. In order to, let's say, save the cost, I want to change it to cool. Can I change it to cool? I can. Let's select the blob. I can say change tier. I can come down, click on this, change it to cool. I'll also talk about what archive is. I'll say save. It's cool. So I'm now changing the tier of an individual blob because my customer or my client wants to store the blob. Let's say, I mean, he just wants to store it. He doesn't want to access it and he wants to cut down on the storage cost. If it is sitting in hot, then I'm paying something additional for the storage cost, which I want to avoid. Now, further, my client is now coming back and telling me that, you know what, once I create a blob, meaning once I create a data, the data is not at all being used after, let's say, 90 days, 3 months after that. After 3 months, the data is not at all being used. So whatever cost that I'm paying, meaning even if I put it in cool, I pay some minimal amount for storing my data. I want to cut down completely. That's the reason you have one more access tier called archive, wherein you can just store. Archive meaning it's very old out there. You can just store your data without having to pay anything for Azure. Let's say archive. Now see, setting the access tier to archive will make your blob inaccessible until it is rehydrated back to hot or cool. What this means is that even if you have, meaning, let's cancel this out for a second and let's change the access level of my container to, let's say, from private to container so that I can just access the blob. Okay, it's in cool. If I come here, if I take the URL of this particular blob, if I go to my browser, I'm still able to access it. But each and every time a client accesses this, the cost that you pay for a transaction is very high because it's in cool right now. As and when I change this to archive, we'll just say change tier. I'll say archive, I'll say save. Now this is sitting in a tier called archive. Let's refresh this out and it's loading from my cache data. So let me take this from, let me go here. Let me try it in an incognito window. It's in an archival tier, meaning the blob cannot be accessible. If I want to, yes, until and unless I bring it back again to cool or hot. The bringing back is a cost. Meaning if you want to bring your, let's say, blob from an archive tier back into a cool or a hot, you will incur a cost. Reason being, go to any bank, tell them that you need, let's say, your banking transactions 5 years old. They'll tell you you have to pay a charge. The reason being, it's a service charge what they pay to a cloud provider directly. Reason being, it's around, let's say, 108 rupees or 110 rupees, something like that. They'll tell you know what, you have a nominal fee which will get deducted from your banking account. Only then we can go and retrieve it. And again, if you go there to a bank, tell that you know what, I need 5 years old data. They won't tell you that you know what, it is immediately available. No, they'll take some time. They'll take time. They'll tell you, you know what, we at least need 24 hours to give you the data. Reason being, if you change a tier from archive to, let's say, hot or cool, I need to say what is the standard priority. Is it a high priority? Is a standard priority? If it's a standard priority, it will take any which ways between, let's say, I mean, the amount of time, it's like 1 2 hours or something like that, depending upon the amount of data they want to rehydrate. So that's the reason if I say save here, that's the reason if you look at this, it's telling rehydration pending. It will take some time for the data to be available. Until the data is available, you cannot access this. The reason being, the company or the banking or the bank organization, they cannot hand over the data to you because they don't have it. They are still waiting for Azure or AWS or whichever cloud provider they have. They are waiting for the cloud provider to give you the data back again. This is called rehydration. It's called a rehydration procedure. So it's a good feature, right? You can go ahead, change your blobs. Let's say if you don't want, you can, yes, go. Amount differs. Yes, if it's a high priority, the amount is high. It depends upon the size of your data. Size of a data. If it's a small data that you're trying to rehydrate, then the cost is less. If its data is high, the cost is also high. So depending upon what is the size, the rehydration cost will also change. It will take us. It will take us because this process will take some time. If I even refresh this out, it will still say rehydration is pending to hot or cool. It will take us. Correct. No, it is telling, it's just telling the time here. That's it. It's telling what is the time period. But it won't tell you size, yes. But internally, it depends upon the size. Internally, the rehydration depends upon what is the size of the data. Depending upon that, it will give you a time. an estimate time on when it'll kind of get restored and all these things. Kind of you can compare it to that. Yes, yes, you are. Is there a timeline? Meaning, that's what is my question. Is that if it's a single blob? Meaning, this is the question that I have. Is that yes, you are right in telling. You are right in pointing that out. Is that my blob right now? I'm telling that it's past 1 month. I want to change it to cool. Like this, I have thousands of blobs adding each and every day. Each and every day, I'm adding thousands, hundreds and thousands of blobs out here. And each and every day, one or the other blob is getting expired. The time limit is getting expired. So the question is, can I just click everything that is expired here and then say change tier? Yes, but the option is grayed out. The option is completely grayed out right now. I cannot do that. Change tier operation is only for an individual blob. I cannot go ahead and change the tier for all the blobs at one go. Then this is going to be an issue for me, right? Because administratively, from an administrative perspective, it's very difficult for me to identify which blob is 1 month old, which blob is 2 months old, and all these things. It's very, very difficult for me to identify this. That's the reason you have something called as a life cycle management. Under data management, you have a life cycle management wherein you can give a rule telling that if a blob is older than 30, please go ahead and change it to archive. Or if a blob is older than, let's say, 60 days, please go ahead and change it to cool. Whatever is the rule out here. That's it automatically works. You don't have to manually intervene out here. Nothing. No need of scripting, nothing. You can achieve it through scripting, but you don't need a scripting to let's say add a rule out here. Yes, so let's see the rule. Let's understand how the rule works. I'll say lifecycle management. It's telling lifecycle management offers a rich rule base for general purpose V2 and blob storage account. Use this to transition your data to an appropriate access tier or expire at the end of the data's lifecycle. Meaning you can change it to a tier, or you can also delete the blob if you don't want it. You can also go and delete the data automatically by this one. Saying a new or an updated policy may take about 48 hours. So the only rule here is that if you create a policy today, the policy to come into action will be day after tomorrow. It'll take 48 hours for the policy to kick in. Any new policy will take 48 hours here. So let's go ahead, add a rule. And I want a rule telling that all the blobs in my storage account, whichever container it is, I don't care. All the blobs in my storage account, if it is greater than, meaning the last modified time, if it is greater than 30 days, then I want to move it to cool. So I'll say rule name is something like cool 30 days. I'll say apply rule to all the blobs in your storage account. Fine. I'll say next. It's telling more than how many days is the blob. I'll say, you know what? If it is more than 30 days, then please move it to cool or please move it to archive. I don't have a hot because by default, every blob is in hot because your storage account is in hot. Whenever you upload, every blob is sitting in hot right now. I'll say move it to cool storage. I'll say add a rule. This is the first rule that I'm adding. Second rule that I'll add is that according to my client, after 90 days, it should go into archive, right? I'll say archive 90. I'll say next. And I'll say more than 90 days. Please go ahead and change it to archive. I'll say add. This is getting added for all the blobs in your storage account. But let's say you have one specific container out here. Let's go to the containers called test container 3. In this container, my client is telling that whatever blob is sitting after 30 days, I don't even need it. Delete it out. Can I apply some rule? Definitely yes. Again, come down to the lifecycle management, add a rule. This time I'll say it is delete 30 and I don't want to apply it to all the blobs in my storage account. It's only one particular container called test container. So I'll say limit blob with filters. I'll say next. I'll say if it is greater than 30, please go ahead delete the blob, not a problem. I'll say next out here. It's telling what is the path of the blob. it's telling my container forward slash the prefix. I'll say it is test container 3. You don't have to give any prefixes out here, meaning every blob that is sitting in a test container will go ahead and get deleted. Or if your client says that, you know what, every blob that is sitting in this container starting with a word called A, with a letter called A should get deleted, I'll say forward slash A. Every blob starting with A gets deleted. If you want a combination that every blob starting with A should be deleted and also every blob starting with Z should be deleted, I'll add one more prefix out here. I'll say Z. Under one rule, you can add 10 different prefixes out here. So you can do a combination of the rules out here. Let's say add here, and all the rules that I added here will come into action after 48 hours. It will take 48 hours for this to come into action. And after this comes into action, this will automatically take care of the lifecycle management of your blobs. It will change your blobs, it will delete your blobs depending upon the rule that you give. Yes, any questions? Yes, go ahead, please. How many prefixes you can add? You can add 10 prefixes inside a rule. Inside a rule. So this is a rule, right? This is one rule. You can add 10 prefixes out here. Just like this. Maximum is 10. How many total rules? 100 rules. 100 rules with 10 prefixes each. Meaning effectively 1000 rules is what you can add here. Yes, any questions with the lifecycle management, guys? Let's go here with the lifecycle management. Any questions here with the lifecycle management as such?
Yes,
So instead of,
we are
yeah,
doing it for only one.
I'm sorry.
So we are doing it for only one storage account, right? What if we have multiple storage accounts and it applies
If
the
you
same
have
to all?
great. So if you have multiple storage accounts, then how can you go ahead and replicate it to another storage account? How can you go ahead and do it for another storage account out here? The point is you can approach this programmatically, meaning using a program, you can go ahead and let's say apply the same rule to multiple storage accounts. If you're telling it is multiple, or this rule is in the form of a code. In the background, it will save all this in the form of a code. You can copy this, go to a different storage account, paste it there, and your rules will get reflected. So if I say copy this out, let's use a different storage account right now. I don't think I have one. So let's go ahead and add one more storage account here. Let's say this one. Let's say my storage account name is something like this one. Some random storage account that I'm picking up. So already taken. Let's see 5 or 6. Let's say 9. Yeah, fine. Let's say LRS, some random name. I'll just review and create this out. I'm not going ahead into the let's say additional properties. Just going ahead and review and creating this out. So the question here is that I have a rule already configured. I want the same set of rules to another storage account. The rules will be in the form of a code. What Azure will save all these rules is that it will save this in the form of a code out here. You can take the code. So you can go into the rule out here. So I added the rule. I did not do any program. Then I'm saying code view. I can copy all these things out. I can come down to a storage account. Once this is created, I can add the rule in the form of a code out here. I can just go and add the rule in the form of a code that will also work. So automation is also possible using this. Or if you have different rules, then the only option is use a PowerShell or a Bash script. Then go ahead and let's say add the rules out here, which we will see on how programmatically you're going to add this out. So this is created. So let's go here into this one. Let's also add this out here. So created. Let's come down into lifecycle management policy and let's say code view. No rules. I'll say paste this out, save this out. Same rules that are coming again. So I just took the that rule particular. I just took that code view of the rule, just copied it, pasted it out here as well. Any questions here, guys? No nomenclature. The rule name can be anything, not a problem. It's up to you. The rule name can be anything out here. Until and unless no two rules have the same name. You cannot have two rules with the same name out here. Until that, you can go ahead, give any, let's say, name nomenclature to this one. Yes, any questions, guys?
Once we copy from the old storage account,
Hmm.
the total will be copy in this storage account.
Yes, total will be copied. Yes.
Only one will not copied.
Not no no. Not only one. Total will be copied because I copied everything. I did a control A and
Full
copied
30
everything
days
out here.
archive 90 delete 30 total will be copied. We don't want,
Yes.
we want only delete 30.
Uh-huh.
Then what is the use of full 30 days archive 90?
Then just go ahead and delete these two. Any which ways is possible.
So
You can just copy only, delete 30,
from
or copy
code
everything,
also
delete these two.
it will be removed. Here from
Sorry?
code view.
Yeah, code
Here
view
code
also will
view
be
is
removed.
there
So
removed.
code view will also be
Only
removed out here.
delete
So it's
30
only
is
30. Only delete 30 is there. There is no other rule out here. So it works both the ways. Good, please. Yes. Yes. No, it won't. You'll have to change it. You can do that. Do we use the code view or the normal list view? We will discuss about that in the further class when we are doing automation. That's where we'll discuss it out, because this comes under automation topic called as automation out here, for which I'll need to take you to the basic of automation and then come to here. So we'll look at that example also. Yes, because the reason the code view you are not able to follow it, the reason I'm not going inside the code view, I'm just giving you an example, or I'm just giving you telling that okay fine, you can copy it. But this is a language in which it is, let's say, pasting it out, and this language is called a JSON language, JavaScript object notation. So I'll have to cover what a JSON is to explain you this one. So we'll cover that in automation as such. Instead of adding a, yes, definitely you can go and write a code also. You can write a code also. You can, instead of adding it, you can write a code, provided you know this language. You can do that. You can directly add a rule, not a problem. Yes, any more questions, guys?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
So when I have three rules, and if I want
Mhm.
to, I don't want to delete the two rules, but
Okay.
I have to enable only one rule and the other to
Okay.
be inactive. So how can I do that?
Yeah, it can be possible. So let's go into three rules. Let's say let's go into this particular storage account. So the question here is that I have three, but for some reason I don't want to apply all the three. I want to disable two. I don't want to delete it. I want to disable it. So
Yes.
let's say these are the two things that you want to disable. So just click on these two. Instead of delete, just go ahead and say disable. So the
Okay.
status will become disabled. The rule will not be applied.
Okay.
Yes. Any more questions, guys? Anyone? Any more questions here? So please go through this concept, and very importantly, I will give you all a document. I'll just post the document in this chat here, and I'll request guys online. Please go ahead and post this documentation in the group chat, in the WhatsApp group chat that you all have. This documentation will give you all the questions that are asked from a storage account perspective. That what are all the interview questions and all these things, which will help you prepare for an interview. So let me give that link directly to you all. You don't have to come all the way here and do all these things. Or no, not this one. Let's see. Where did I post it? Yes. And I'll just give you the link. You can just come here, take the link out here, and going to go there. So I have multiple things out here, Azure DevOps, in each and every topic that we cover. Right now we are only storage accounts again. It's like, what do you know about the naming convention? What do you understand the primary difference between access key? Which access method do you recommend? Why? Suppose a person left the organization, what is this, and all these things. So scenario based questions, theoretical based questions, and all these things out. I've posted all these things, and I have also given links to go ahead and read the additional documentation. So each and every, let's say, question is accompanied with an article. So if you click on this, you'll go to the article and seeing what is the naming scope and all these things out. So I would recommend you all to just visit this link, go through the questions, let me know if you have any questions out of this one. So I'll just post it here in this particular GoToMeeting chat. I am not a part of your WhatsApp group, so that's the reason I'm requesting someone online to go ahead, take it, and paste it as a part of the WhatsApp group out there. Okay, any questions before we close, guys? Anyone, any questions before we close? Okay, guys, thank you and have a good day ahead. We'll meet tomorrow. We'll discuss more on this concept. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.